Welcome to Pivot to Grow, where our philosophy is leap and grow your wings on the way up. Each week, we will bring not only our many years of experience, but also expert guests in many genres. Together, we will give you a blueprint on not only how to construct your new wings, we'll show you how to utilize them. We will do this with laughter, love, tears, compassion, friendship, and understanding. Here we go.
Lawson, welcome back to Pivot to Grow, everybody. And we are here with Allison and myself, and we've got a special guest. And Miss Allison, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Ilya?
I'm here. I'm excited about this guest. I'm really excited. So kick it off for us.
Perfect. Well, I am so honored to have our guest on today. This is Amber J. Lawson, and she is someone who has pivoted time and time again, and she has created several pathways for healing and joy. And she has also guided me in my own personal healing journey. And for that, I am forever grateful. So I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about Amber J. Lawson. First off, she is a force to be reckoned with in the transformational coaching mind space. And her decades-long experience in Hollywood as a producer, development executive, and digital content creator who has worked with A-listers over the years like Madonna, Jimmy Kimmel, Adam Sandler, and Wanda Sykes sharpened her skills as a leader and mentor and evocator. Amber J has been at cutting edge of the digital landscape, honored as Entrepreneur of the Year by Synopsis Women in Digital, Top 50 Women in Digital, PGA Top 25 in Digital, the NATPE Luminary Award as a digital media maven, and most recently as the #1 innovator in comedy in 2020, thanks to her work as CEO and Comedy Gives Back. Of Comedy Gives Back, an organization aimed at helping comedians in crisis with mental health and financial resources. And if that wasn't enough, she's also taking purposeful action as a cornerstone of Amber J's legacy. When the 2020 coronavirus pandemic hit, she rallied with her female founding partners to create and launch Comedy Gives Back Laugh Aid, raising over $500,000 for the comedy community. The 8-hour live stream featuring Dave Chappelle, Jimmy Fallon, Whitney Cummings, and 90 additional comics resulted in grants to more than 700 out-of-work comedians. As part of Amber J's mission to do good at scale, she is also the founder and CEO of Good Amplified, a social media consultancy exclusively serving nonprofits such as Make-A-Wish and X Prize, to create awareness, impact, and revenue in building a better world. With her diverse background and impact, Amber J is a sought-after speaker at corporations and events aimed at elevating the mind and inspiring change. Amber J shares her life by design with her 11-year-old pug named Leo J. Tolstoy Lawson. Hashtag pug life. And her favorite color is hot pink, obviously.
Today, Amber J's mission is to build a better world through individualized and group coaching using her goddess process, which we'll be getting into a little bit, talking about some changes to that. A conscious company offering an experiential learning environment for women to explore their gifts, receive support, have accountability, and be led through pathways to transform life, work, and love. Her clientele run the gamut from Olympic athletes to frontline workers, CEOs, celebrities, and busy moms to learn how to live out their purpose with emotional intelligence, love, and abundance. Welcome.
That was a lot, you guys.
I'm not worthy.
Who is that? Who are they talking about?
Well, I always told you, I knew you were going to go global, and look at you, you did. You really did.
Listen, we are all one. We are all one. That's it. We're just recognizing ourselves and others.
You are amazing. So let's start with the goddess. Let's start with your training programs. Let's talk about them, what they are, what you do, and the amazing changes that you are bringing forth in the world for women.
Well, let me tell you, I So Allison and I went through this same training, this MITT training, mastery and transformational training. And first of all, let me tell you the story that got me there, because I think it's kind of hilarious. So one of my clients through Good Amplified was the CEO of this billion-dollar nonprofit. And she's this cool hip chick. And we went to the Oscars together. So we are leaving the Oscars on our way to an after party, a little tipsy, when she was like, "Oh, you should sign up for this leadership program." And me being a promoter, I was like, "Oh my, yes, who does it, right? Like, what is this?" So without really knowing what I was getting myself into, in the back of a limo leaving the Oscars, I signed up for MITT. I did not know what I needed, right? But it was exactly what I needed. One of the things that I noticed in my transformational journey, and I've always been on a spiritual path to awareness, to broadening out my perspective. I knew coming from Raytown, Missouri, that my experience, although really great and loving and nourishing, and I just had my high school reunion last summer. I was really lucky. I really liked my high school class. Like, we came together. We really like each other. And in reflection, like, how lucky I am that we all got along and that it was a supportive environment. But I did not learn emotional intelligence in Raytown, Missouri. I did not experience what's available in the world and the possibility that in claiming, declaring, and taking action towards a goal, although I was doing that, right? I knew I got to move out of there and experience the world, whatever that looked like. And so so I've been on this spiritual journey. I was like, where am I going with it? So I did the forum when I first moved to Los Angeles, which opened me up to possibility. And that was amazing. And then I experienced Agape, and that opened me up to spiritual, another realm of spirituality. And I had many teachers along the way that we all know, Louise Hay and Marianne Williamson, and, you name it. And then, so here I am, I get signed up into MITT. Like, what I didn't know I needed is exactly, comes into your life at the exact moment. It was my vibrational match, very Abraham Hicks, right? My vibrational match met me there at the time. And I had been jet setting around the world. I talked on stages in Cannes and on red carpets and the Emmys and Producers Guild in a very masculine, male-dominated environment. I was on boards. I was the only woman. I was on the dais table, the only woman. And what I realized is my measure of success equated to that of men. So I like to say I was doing it like a man. I was doing life like a man, and I was successful at it. I was pretty darn good at it. And when I came to MITT, when I took this next layer of transformation, is when I realized, vulnerability is something I keep so far away that I really have navigated life with a big mask, a big guard over my heart. And what a disservice to the world to not experience my divine femininity and my heart. And so my takeaway from this transformational journey was vulnerability is a superpower. I, as a leader, get to go first. And therefore, and let me tell you something, there was a whole bunch of coaches around that MITT group. And I was like, what are all these coaches doing around here?
Oh, I remember that. I was like that too.
And I was like, I will never be a coach. It's ridiculous. It's a sham. But cut to, 3 months after I finished my PhD, or I would probably in the middle of my PhD, I started coaching because I wanted to bring the women with me. My sisters, my road warriors that I had been maybe even in competition with in my mind, whether actually or virtually or unconsciously in competition with. Realizing there is no competition. There's enough for everyone, and you get to have this freedom too. You get to live your true authentic self and tap into your divine femininity. And so I created a course around it.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
And what was that course that you created?
So thank you for asking.
I'm curious now.
So I created my foundational course I now call Spark. It's my signature system. It's self-care, prosperity and abundance. So money equals self-worth. Our relationships, time is intimacy. And then community and contribution. What is my purpose in the world? So self-care, lay the foundation, fill my cup first, give from the overflow. Prosperity, getting clear on what's happening. What have I actually been willing to receive? And as the divine feminine, we are meant to receive. And if we're blocking it, if we're always in our doing, how can we ever receive? We are messing with the laws of the universe. That is giving and receiving, giving and receiving. You have to receive if you want to give. So giving, receiving. And then, relationships, vulnerability, intimacy, going deep, taking care of my intimacy with myself, the little girl inside of me, as well as the 5 people I spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I spend so much time with these people and I don't even like them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last is your purpose. What is your purpose? You got a declaration. What's it called? What do we call it, Allison?
Oh gosh, the declaration.
It's our why can't I think of it?
Yeah. Our vision statement.
Yeah, I am a passionate, intimate, inspired.
Our contract.
Our
contract with ourselves. Yep.
So kind of I do a similar thing, but it's what is your purpose? What were you meant to do on the planet at this time? And let's clear out the blocks so you can go do it. So that's the foundational system that I've set up. And then I have a tribe, which is an ongoing subscription. We do full moon ceremonies. We do witchy stuff, and we come together in sisterhood, in sister circle. Did you do Grace, Allison?
I did, Grace. We were Grace sisters.
Yes, we're Grace. That's right. We're Grace sisters. So in that sacred circle, right, where you can share all the things and you realize what's happening in the I is happening in the we is happening in the all, that you're not alone.
Yeah. And that's so important.
And the last piece I have is I have a 7-month mastermind called Woman on Fire. And that holds your feet to the fire of accountability to make whatever that dream is come true. Launch a business, start a new relationship, move. I've had people move states, countries, make hundreds of thousands of dollars, start new businesses, get pregnant. I mean, magic. All health and sisterhood.
I am intrigued with your mastermind when you said you hold their feet to the fire, because I have belonged to several masterminds, and some masterminds, when you sign up, you meet what are you wanting to accomplish this week? What are you going to do? Action are you going to take? And then when you meet the next week and life has happened and, well, I didn't do it. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, are you going to do it this week? Is your mastermind different? When you say hold their feet to the fire, do you say, why not? What's wrong? Not what's wrong with you, but why didn't you? Why is this not important? What was your block?
Yeah. So first of all, I have a lesson each week. So there is some sort of distinction or tool that they get to implement into their life. And the book our curriculum is Breaking the Good Girl Myth, Pussy a Reclamation, and one other book that I can't think of right now. I'll tell you later when it comes to. So we have an exercise where they're learning new tools throughout, and then we have a tracking document. And through the beginning, we do visualization. We're seeing their vision coming to fruition. So bringing it into reality, into consciousness, and into the physical. So we use all the tools to activate it in the body. Is it in alignment? And from that alignment, what are the next right actions you get to take in order for your whatever to come to fruition? And then I ask the question, what could get in the way? What could get in the way of that? Like resignation, time, family, life, whatever, right? Boredom, fear. Okay, cool. What are the tools that you are going to use when that happens? Because it will inevitably happen, right? And so that may be tapping into the group. It may be calling your buddy. It may be shifting your state, dancing for 3 minutes. I commit to dancing for 3 minutes when I get blocked or what have you. Then what are your actual results? What are the results? Because this is where we get squirrely. We're like, oh yeah, I kind of did it. No, you said you were going to have 10 calls. You did 5 calls. The difference is 5 calls. What's between making that? Now, are you making declarations that you have no intention to step into? You know, are you lying to yourself? So we just did a stretch. I just put him on a stretch. And it was a beautiful, like, they all thought it was, they had no idea. They're like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe we're doing this. Like, I don't have time for this. Like everything that gets in the way of what's between them and their dream, their vision, living in the world, got activated in this 24-hour sprint that we did. And then they got to sit with it because they stewed on it and they accomplished 20% of the 100% goal, right? And where in your life are you only playing 20%?
Yeah.
What was your immediate reaction or response? Did you jump in and take the lead? Did you sit back and wait for other? Like, is that what you're doing in your business, in your relationship, in the things you say you want? And it's just a mirror reflection. So I each group is different and it's an ongoing group. So different people flow in and flow out in the 7 months. And so it's always ongoing. And it's like, what's called for? What's going to activate this group? What's going to call this? And we have people writing books right now. We have a kind of a famous artist in New York. In there, we have an actress. We have writers. It's a pretty creative, fabulous group of people who have been in the corporate world and who've been successful. Also, there's moms who've never stepped foot in the corporate world who are together, their experiences. I mean, you group coach, you get like, it is the collective's experience that met where we have compassion for others, where we can see ourselves in others, what we don't want to look in the mirror at. We're like, oh crap, I think I do that, right? Like, okay, let's put that on the table. Let's work through that. So from that, so here's the interesting structure. I used to only have the mastermind for 3 months at a time because 7 months is a long time. I used to do 3 months. And what I found is after 3 months, there's this time where they either like go through the moon or they fall off completely. And so I wanted to have a way to catch them and support them in whatever's happening. So it's 3 months on and then a month off. So an integration period where you're integrating in what's happening. And so they shoot through the moon. Great. What's the next? How do we support you here? Because that's another thing that happens, especially with startup founders, with those starting businesses, when the business can't in fact rely solely on you, where you're the bottleneck of your own business when you're scaling a business and you have to expand, and kind of the fear that comes when it takes off. And then the other is, if I'm not being held accountable day in and day out, what am I do? Then they kind of fall off and or meander, right? We think we're going somewhere, but we're like squirrel, right? Like, so, and then coming back into focus of like, okay, this is what I'm committed to. And I'm always pulling them back to this, because they start putting on like my fitness goals and I'm going to go get clear out my office. And like, how is this in relation to your goal, right? You need somebody to go like, you're distracting. Come back. When it gets hard, because it does get hard, it gets confronting at times, and we want to distract ourselves with other things that in theory are helping us. They're not helping us, but are they?
Yeah. Well, definitely. You said a few things that I definitely want to touch on. So I have a lot of questions to ask you.
I said a lot of things. I'm just on fire.
So many great things. And you're always on fire. I love what you said about accountability, because I went through, MITT with you, and you were actually my coach and you held me accountable. So when you say holding your feet to the fire, like, I remember that. I remember you really holding my feet to the fire. I had my biggest breakthroughs working with you. And so to our audience, like I tell you, Amber J, when she talks about holding her feet to the fire, she really knows what she's talking about. I formed a law firm going through the program with her. So there's a lot of different things. I'm not a lawyer. I got investors. All these things happen because she helped me create possibilities. So there's a lot of things that you can learn from her programs. What I wanted to talk to you about, because you touched on your long program, right? So I wanted to hear, what do people get out of your shorter programs? What does a shorter one look like? And what would you say, who's the right kind of person to go into that shorter program?
Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I'm sitting here.
Hold on, buckling in. Okay, got it buckled.
Well, I'll tell you. So the free 3-day Wild Woman extravaganza. So I do these Wild Woman 3-day challenges, and that really ignites the fire, like turns up the heat to get clear on what you want. That's really we are really crafty as human beings to be like, oh, I want happiness. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Like, my version of happiness and your version of happiness are two totally different things, right? Like, mine is I gotta soak in the bathtub and going to Miami. Anyway, you get the point. We just did, so out of that 3-day challenge, there's kind of two opportunities. One is coming into the Woman on Fire 7 month. If you have something that you, no joke, want to create in your life, and it's maybe you're transitioning out of a job, you're stepping into becoming an entrepreneur, you are you're an empty nester, you're stepping into a new phase of your life. Frankly, a lot of women I experience coming into Tribe or Spark experience community and trusting other women for the first time. And it's it relaxes your nervous system so much that it's like, where can I get my hit? It's because our society has separated us so much from each other that having community where I can have all my emotions, I can talk about how freaking angry I am, how pissed off I am at my circumstance, or how life has been for me, or the stupid things that happen in life, that I can come here and have a container to hold it all and not be called a crazy woman, not be called hysterical, not be made fun of, or have those emotions pushed down because we've suppressed them so much. Anger is suppressed radiance. Anger is suppressed radiance. We do an exercise on the second day of the Wild Woman 3-day that is called swamping. And do you know what swamping is?
No. Please enlighten me.
All I can think of is my damn it doll right now. So sorry.
Yeah, we get to express this. We have all of this pent up anger, and we've been told good girls don't. Good girls don't scream and yell, and yet we have anger in our bones, in our muscles, whether it's ours or from our ancestors. And we have an opportunity in Sacred Circle. You've been in like Grace, when we talk about things, real things that are happening as women that we suppress, that we're afraid we're the only ones, that we're weirdos, that we're the bad girl in the scenario or something. And how we stick it down and it causes dis-ease. It causes anger. It comes out in many ways. So swamping is one of many you can dance it out. You can punch a pillow. You can do karate. You can do whatever it is to get that out of your body. But swamping is you put a trash bag over your head. You preferably do this in being witnessed by other women. You put the trash bag, you cut a hole for your head, obviously, and you put the trash bag on, and then you put on usually the Kelly Clarkson song, "Since You've Been Gone," or whatever song makes you, feel like you want to poke through something, and you just poke your way out of that plastic bag, and you fight your way out. And at the end of it, it's exhausting. And it's also freeing. And maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. But figuring out ways to release our anger, to open the valve so that we don't explode. Because women, the divine feminine is the emotional body. We are water. And if we are not releasing our valve, that also means the divine masculine isn't releasing their valve. That's what creates war. It creates shootings in schools. It creates domestic abuse. It creates, because there isn't an outlet for the masculine's emotion, because the feminine is the holder of emotion. So if we're not letting it go, how can the masculine let it go?
Yeah, true.
I don't remember what the question was.
It was about your 3-day program, going to that. And I know you mentioned too that you actually have it coming up for free. So
yes.
Yeah.
You asked about results. Let me tell you some results. So I'll give you the link to the 3-day program. It's totally free. Please bring your family, bring your coworkers, bring your sisters, bring your friends, everybody welcome. Women only, women identifying only. Let me say that. So in the Spark 30 day, we declare something very specific. We just finished one 2 weeks ago. A woman got a new car. Another woman manifested $10,000. Another woman manifested her art show in New York City. It is like, I manifested a man. I mean, every single time, like clockwork, this stuff works. And because we open up ourselves to different possibilities, we're so linear in our culture and in our world, like it has to happen this way. The way you become successful in life is do, versus opening up all the possibilities. And then what's the energetic possibilities, right? Like there's so much more than the eye can see. So opening ourselves up to all the possibilities. And the tools I give people are really tactical tools. I do the woo for you. So you don't have to be, witchy. You don't have to light all the candles and do all the things. I really lean into emotional intelligence, tactical tools, which I'm sure both of you really lean into.
Oh,
yes, definitely. Now we're going to pivot a little bit. I want to talk to you about Comedy Gives Back. How in the world did you go from this dynamo in feminine energy to Comedy Gives Back?
Well, let me tell you something. It's been around for 11 years and I formed it. So I've been in comedy my whole life. I came up through Second City. I was a performer. Then I was an executive for a very long time in the comedy space. And so I believe, and it's a proven fact, in fact, Mayo Clinic said laughter is the best medicine from the Mayo Clinic. just saying. But that it raises the vibration of the planet through laughter. And so I came together with two of my best friends. We created this 11 years ago. At the time, I was in the digital space. So we merged comedy, charity, and digital, various platforms, in order to raise money for various nonprofit organizations. So as you can see, giving back has been a theme in my life. It's like always woven through, and I'm grateful that my parents instilled that in me. And that is part of our needs as humans, is to give back. So I'm grateful that that is part of my work and part of my joy, right? There's my passion. I love comedy. I love truth tellers. I love the storytellers. I love that we get to laugh about it and learn at the same time. That fills my heart and soul. And it's kind of a good way to sneak it in the rear, like when information, new ideas and thoughts. I always, comedy is a masterful teacher in that way. So I've been in it all my life. And we formed this Comedy Gives Back 11 years ago. And about 4 years ago, we realized that nobody was taking care of the comics, the comedians themselves, that if you were a road comic and you weren't in SAG or after DGA, PGA, whatever, any of the unions, there was no safety net. So we became the safety net of the comedy community for mental health, substance abuse, community, for when shit happens. We are the catch-all organization for the comedy community. That said, here we are ready to embark, and we have mirrored what Music Cares does for musicians. And we have the executive director from Music Cares on our board, who's guiding us to create the same program, but for the comedy community, right? So we had this all lined up, bada boom, bada bing, yay, 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 pandemic. And as soon as pandemic hit, we did what we've been doing for 10 years prior, which is comedy, charity, and digital. So we live streamed from our homes. We were able to produce, because guess what? We were an overnight sensation, 10 years in the making. Right? So we knew how to do this like the back of our hands. It's like we were made for pandemic. So we went into action. We got 90 comedians to show up over 8 hours that we live streamed on all the platforms everywhere. That day we raised $500,000. Now to date, even those numbers, we raised over $1 million.
Wow.
We gave out over 1,000 grants. We put 3 people through substance abuse. We have 20 people getting mental health services and therapy. We have this thriving community. We are, and now it's only exploding. Like this year, so now that the festivals are back in action, we host a sober room at every festival.
Wow.
And a safe space. So anybody who's sober and or in recovery has a place where they can socialize without, at all these festivals, you're at the bar until 4 a.m. Like that's where the deals happen. That's where all the smack talking happens. But they get to smack talk in a safe environment for them, right? Providing them with coffee and tea and a calm space. And we have a golf tournament. That's one of our big fundraisers. And we're taking Laugh Aid into, back out into the world. We're all development execs. We're all TV producers. So that's our new comic relief.
Wow. So needed. So
Definitely.
needed. I remember during the pandemic, I was listening to a Canadian radio station, comedy station, and they were doing, like comedy aid, but it wasn't the same thing. They were just playing snippets of comedians over and over and asking you to call in and get, which was kind of funny to me because I was in a car and I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to be on my phone while I'm in a car. But I actually love the platform that you guys have because it was such a time that it was needed. You could sit in your home where you felt so isolated and watch these comedians, and it brought some laughter, some joy, and some normalcy to life again. So
And you know what was interesting about that? So we were like 3 weeks into pandemic at that point. And so there was the live show happening, but before they would go live, they were in this virtual green room, right? And so you had Michelle Buteau and Roy Wood Jr. and Adam Sandler and David Spade, and that was the room to be in. The magic that was happening there, it was so fun. And they really missed each other. You know, they really got to see what a brotherhood, sisterhood that the comedy community is and how much they freaking missed each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved to have been there. Wanda Sykes, if you know, in that room, Wanda Sykes is like one of my favorite comedians. So.
I think it's amazing what you've created, though. I don't know if you've noticed, like in everything that you've done, you have created a community. You've created different communities too. So even within that community, you have a community for sober people to still participate, to build that social support system. And even in your other business too, the Spark and those programs, you are building community as well. And you're helping people create a tribe, which is so needed as well, keeping people connected.
I receive, you know, I kind of, you know, when you're so in the doing of it, I kind of forget that. And doing this daily kickstart that we do on Clubhouse, I really got, for the first time in my life, I really experienced what tribe felt like. Even though I've been creating communities, I've always put it outside of myself. And I will say thank you for pointing that out, Allison. Yeah, I create community.
You do.
Thank you.
You are a community builder. So I have another question for you, because I noticed another theme from everything you've talked about is actually a Jack Canfield principle, and it's on taking action. And so I wanted to hear a little bit about how you've taken action in those moments, and because you pivoted so much and you've just jumped right in with all of your endeavors, it sounds like.
Well, let me tell you, so in all of my moon ceremonies and kind of in everything I do, I use the 3 C's. It's what I teach and it's how I live. It's clarity. So what do I want? Where am I going? Like it's the GPS, right? If I don't put my destination where I want to get to into my ways, I ain't going to get there. I may get to San Diego, but I'm not going to get to Legoland, right? So I got to put the destination. And it's going to route me there. And I could take the scenic route. I could take the direct route. There could be the traffic route. There could be all these routes. But getting clarity creates a destination, somewhere to go. And whatever it's going to look like once I get there, cool, right? Then clearing, what are my limiting beliefs? What's the BS in the way that could stop me from going there, from doing what it takes, for showing up how it takes, being the human being, not the human doing, right? So be, do, have versus do, have, be. Okay. And then the last is committed action of the 3 C's, committed action. So when I am in alignment, it is clear the action I need to take, not the 100 other things to check off my list, to be a good girl, to do all the things, to say I completed it. Why am I not there? What is the actual direct route to get to the thing that I declare, I say I want? And that's the action I take. And I'll tell you how I've done this in my life. Well, first of all, I'm a doer. I'm a recovering doer. I do all over myself, you know, and I still catch myself like doing. And really the power is in the being. I can do the action for sure. And making sure I'm not just doing to do, not just spinning and convincing myself that I'm getting somewhere or even close to it. I find this with moms, with women, in that while I'm supposed to, I crossed off my list. I have to take care of the kids. I got to do the things. I got to put and it's very in the masculine. The masculine is doing, it is directional, is purposeful, and it is depth. It just wants to cross all the things off the list. The feminine is the flow, is where the magic happens, is where the expansion happens. And so, bring me back to my point.
We're talking about taking action and getting
So you're not just taking action to take action, but you're taking aligned right
action. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I get all fired up and I got all these stories to tell, and then
I love all your stories. They're very inspiring.
That is the one thing I have to tell you that I love about Allison is that I can go on 5 different tangents at the same time and circle back around, and she can keep up. And there's very few people that can do that. So
she's magical that way.
So if you had a piece of advice, one piece of advice to give to the audience on what is something they can do, one thing that they can do to cause an impact in their life right now or make a change in their life, what would that one piece of advice be?
This is the most important advice you will ever hear in your life. Stop your car, put down your coffee, because here it comes. Slow down, close your eyes, go inward, and breathe. Take 3 deep breaths and listen, because the answer is in you. That's it.
So good. That is so good. And I don't think, especially women, we don't take the time to slow down and look inward. And then when we do look inward and we try to manifest it out in our world, then we have those voices. Yeah, as you said earlier, the good girl should, the wife should, all the shoulds all over
we're
ourselves.
shitting on ourselves.
Yeah, don't shoot on yourself. Yeah.
So you have the free seminar coming up. We're going to have the link in our with you on our website at pivot2grow.org. If you want something fun to do to make yourself feel uplifted, you got to go to Amber J's website. You have the most amazing website I've ever seen. I've seen lots of websites. It's amazing. Your energy comes out.
Oh yeah.
And it is so fun. I was looking at your pictures and I was like, I want to be like her when I grow up. I just finished Landmark, and in Landmark, one of the things was, who is somebody that you've wanted to be like that you didn't think you could be like? And I was looking at Allison going, there's nobody. I've always thought it, but I was looking at your pictures going, I want to be like her. I got the beach. I have the beach like 3 blocks from my house, so I'm okay. I got the beach, but I want the rest of that. So,
and it's already yours.
That's right.
I love that.
Anything else that you would like to impart on our audience, or wisdom, anything you would like to say as we're wrapping up?
Yeah, the one thing I would like to say is, well, first of all, I'm grateful for the both of you for giving me this space, for sharing your audience with me, for sharing your hearts and creating this space, and for doing this work.
Thank
Spreading
you for doing the work. I receive.
I receive.
That's right.
And then the other piece I would say is for women and for men, is to find a tribe, some group of people that you can be 100% authentically yourself, whether it's in transformational work or a sister circle, maybe a conscious community. There's men's circles around, in order to experience in your body. It's one thing to know you're okay. It's another thing to experience in your bones you're okay, that you're not alone, that what you're going through or what's happening is meant for you, not against you, and to request support, that you get to be supported. I think that is one of the biggest breakthroughs I had in my transformational journey, is trusting the support of others to be vulnerable, to break down, and to realize that I wasn't going to fall apart and never come back. Because that was my biggest fear. Like if I actually cried, if I let all this out, that they couldn't hold me, and that if I let it all out, that I couldn't come back from it.
Yeah.
But you can, and you will. And you'll get to be in contribution for others on the other side. So I think find a circle, find a group that you can be your authentic self.
I think that's so perfect. I had a real hard time being vulnerable. I was like, okay, I am the tough one. I am not going to cry. I am not. And yeah, what I was scared about being vulnerable was they're not going to like me afterwards. And so when I formed my tribe, or I had my tribe around me, the first time I was vulnerable and somebody said, I love you even more now to know that you're human. That was just, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Opens you up. When people are vulnerable, when my heart just opens to them.
Yeah.
Like it's such a superpower. It is such a, and I'm not talking toxic femininity, right? Where we're using it against others or to manipulate. It really is when our truth is being spoken, there is nothing sexier and juicier and more lovable than that. And so why we keep putting masks on and putting our armor up is just such a bummer, man.
Oh, yeah.
Such a bummer.
It is.
Definitely. It definitely is. All right. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up, right?
Yes, I think we're about ready to wrap. I cannot thank you, Amber J, enough for being here. You have just, I love your energy.
Such a gift. Seriously,
Yeah.
such a gift to have you on. Thank you so much.
And for our listeners, please go to our website so you can make a connection with Amber J, see her beautiful face in person. And please look for the link for her free workshop. And don't forget to like us on your favorite platform, rate us and review us. Blessings to all of you.
Bye.
Bye.
The views, information, or opinions expressed on this YouTube channel and podcast are solely the views of the individuals involved and by no means represent absolute facts. Opinions expressed by the host and guests can change at any time. Pivot to Grow does not verify the accuracy of the information contained in the YouTube channel and podcast and is not responsible for this information. Pivot to Grow and its hosts assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content of the YouTube channel and podcast. The information contained on the YouTube channel and podcast is provided on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness. The information published on this podcast and YouTube channel is for informational purposes only. Any reliance you place on such, you do at your own risk. The information provided is not meant to be a substitute for professional, legal, medical, mental health, or financial advice. If you require professional services, it is your responsibility to seek it out from a licensed attorney, mental health practitioner, physician, or financial services professional. In no way is the information provided meant to be a substitute for medical or psychological advice. This information does not serve to diagnose, treat, or provide a cure for any condition you may be experiencing. Pivot to Grow does not claim to and will not be held responsible for diagnosing, treating, or curing any physical or mental health condition. This podcast and YouTube channel does not take the place of listeners' healthcare professional. Under no circumstances should listener stop seeing his or her healthcare professional. If listener decides to take action based on the coaching and advice he or she receives from Pivot to Grow or a guest on Pivot to Grow, listener does so at his or her own risk.